Right now, across the African continent, something huge is happening. We're witnessing this monumental economic shift. And I'm not talking about small little tweaks here and there. Nope, we are talking about a complete rewiring of how an entire continent does business. This isn't about playing catch-up, it's about taking a giant leap into the future. So, let's break down how this is all going down. This quote from the 2025 African Trade Report, it just perfectly nails the scale of what's at stake. This is about a fundamental change, a chance for African nations to go from being on the sidelines to right in the center of the global economy, but on their own terms. It's kind of like a declaration of economic independence for the 21st century.
All right, so what does this massive vision actually look like on the ground? Well, it all starts with one of the boldest economic projects in modern history, trying to unite an entire continent's economy.
And really, it all comes down to this one single massive question. How on earth do you take 54 different countries, all with their own currencies, their own rules, their own systems, and weave them together into one single economic powerhouse?
Well, the answer? It's called the AfCFTA. Now, don't let the name fool you. This is not just another boring trade agreement. The African Trade Report calls it a platform for industrialization, digital leapfrogging, and economic sovereignty. Just think about that for a second. This is the master plan to create the world's largest free trade area by population. It's huge.
But here's the catch. To build something that massive, you've got to solve some equally massive problems. And one of the biggest? The annual trade finance gap. We are talking about a shortfall of $100 billion every single year. That's money that businesses need to trade but just can't get. So, closing that gap and actually making the AfCFTA work in the 21st century? Well, that takes more than just good intentions and policy papers. It needs a modern digital blueprint to turn that grand vision into something real. And that blueprint has a name, the Digital Trade Protocol. Look, think of it like this. You can't build a modern highway system without GPS and traffic control, right? It'd be chaos. Well, in the same way, you can't build a modern trade network without a digital protocol to make sure everything flows smoothly. So what this protocol does, and this is the crucial part, is it breaks this huge challenge down into four main goals. First, you've got to harmonize the rules, right? So a business in Egypt and a business in Nigeria are playing from the same playbook. Second, you have to enable data to flow, because let's face it, modern trade runs on information. Third, you've got to ensure security, building trust with rock-solid cybersecurity. And finally, and this is so important, you have to promote inclusion, making sure this revolution lifts everybody up, from the smallest businesses to women entrepreneurs. Okay, a blueprint is great, but you can't build a house with just a piece of paper. You need tools. So let's get into the actual technology, the digital rails that are being laid down to make all of this happen.
The absolute heart of this new digital infrastructure, the real engine room, is the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System. You can call it PAPS for short. Just think of it as the central nervous system for all money moving across the continent.
And this slide, wow, it shows you just how much of a game-changer PAPS really is. Before, if you wanted to send money from, say, Nigeria to Ghana, you might have to convert your naira into US dollars, send it to a bank in New York, which would then convert it to Ghanaian cedis. It was slow, it was expensive, and you lost money at every step. With PAPS, it's instant, it's simple, and it's all done in local currencies. It completely changes the game. So, we have the vision, check. We have the blueprint, check. We've got the digital tools, but who's actually using all this stuff to build this new future? Well, let's meet the entrepreneurs who are turning all this policy into reality. To really get things moving, the African Export-Import Bank, or Afreximbank, the same folks behind PAPS, they launched a brand new accelerator program. They put out the call for startups, building the future of African trade, and they got over 1,600 applications. And out of that huge pool of incredible talent, after a super intense selection process, they picked just 8. These 8 are the vanguard, the first elite group chosen to build on top of this brand new digital foundation. And here they are. Just look at the continental reach here. We're talking Egypt to Nigeria, across Francophone Africa into East Africa, and these startups are tackling the biggest, thorniest problems in trade, stuff like supply chain finance, digital logistics, agricultural exports, and of course, cross-border payments. And this quote from Afreximbank's Haytham El-Mayergi just says it all, doesn't it? Policy is great. It sets the stage. But it's the entrepreneurs, the builders, who actually go out and construct the new economy.
Now, what's so cool about this slide is that this is where the theory hits the real world. These aren't just pie-in-the-sky ideas. These companies are already having a massive impact. Fluna has already facilitated over $50 million in trade. That's real goods moving across borders that might have been stuck before. CAPSA has processed over 70 billion naira in supply chain finance, unlocking money for the small businesses that are the lifeblood of any economy. And so Azul, they've connected over 4,000 farming co-ops directly to bigger markets. These are real results happening right now, all powered by this new digital backbone.
But let's be real. A transformation of this size, it's never going to be easy. It's never a straight line. And despite all this incredible momentum, there are still some pretty significant challenges on the road ahead.
And the major hurdles are probably what you're already thinking. You've got infrastructure deficits. You can't have digital trade without reliable internet, especially out in rural areas. There's still regulatory fragmentation, all these different national laws that have to be brought under the AfCFTA umbrella. You need a workforce with digital skills, which means closing literacy gaps. And of course, there's the big one. You have to have robust cybersecurity so that everyone trusts the system.
And that really brings us to this final thought from Professor Benedict Orma. Yeah, the challenges are real, but the opportunity is historic. The goal here isn't just about better trade statistics, it's about a full-on continental renaissance. The blueprint is there. The builders are hard at work. So the question now really isn't if Africa's digital trade future will be built, but just how quickly it will become a reality for everyone.